We really appreciate you all coming out. Rain, sleet, or snow. We really see your dedication and your commitment to Dolton, and we appreciate you. Pastor, if you wouldn't mind opening us up in prayer.
Every head is bowed and every eye is closed. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you, first of all, for just the opportunity to see another day. We ask, oh God, that even though you control the rains and storms and everything, you still have time enough to look out for us, and we thank you for it. Now, God, bless this meeting. Give us listening ears. Give us a heart to receive. Let us work together to make our village a safe village that we can live the rest of our lives in. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. Unless the Lord builds it, the laborers labor in vain. So I appreciate all of the efforts and works that's being done, restorative justice and more jobs and so on. But we all know that none of these things regulate the heart, and we all need a heart transplant from God. So while we're waiting on other dignitaries to show up, I did want to stop for a moment. Let's give our Trustee Holmes, give him a round of applause for being here. He's always here. I believe ever since you became a trustee, I think you've attended every meeting, if I'm not mistaken, so I appreciate it. We've had trustees and other dignitaries come and go, but he is becoming a mainstay, and I really appreciate his participation, his commitment to the Dolton Police, and ensuring that, you know, our primary goal in these meetings is about reconciliation. I am a minister of reconciliation, and it's to reconcile the Dolton Police Department back with the community, regardless of what's going on in other towns. Good morning, dear, please. Thanks for joining us. Regardless of what's going on in the news, we are in control about what's going on in Dolton.
That's right.
And that can only happen, that can only be effective if we remain connected, in relationship, and reconciled to one another, that we don't give up on one another, that we don't walk out on one another, that we stay in the fight and we hold each other accountable and we support one another and we encourage one another. And that's what I'm here to do. I know that's what Trustee Holmes has signed up for, because here's a man that has dedicated so many years of his life to the urban community, to Dolton in particular, and we appreciate you, residents, who've made a great investment in this town for years and years and years. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, grew up pretty poor, Section 8, and we were moving at least every other year. And I didn't know what it meant to be a part of a community. I'll be honest. I'll just be transparent and vulnerable for a second. I didn't know what it meant to make an investment in a community, to fight for a community. We was always moving. I never knew when we were going to live the next day, the next year. I came to Dolton as a police officer, and I would hear residents say, I've been here 20 years, and I've been here 30 years, and it didn't really mean much to me for so many years. Like, oh, you just old fogey, you know, what are you talking about? And then I started to consider the investment that was made. I started to consider the sacrifices that were made. I started to consider the suffering and what love really looks like when you love your community. What that looks like is that when, you know, it ebbs and flows, but you stick, you stay, you fight, you support whatever mayor is in office, whether you voted for him or not, because you know that's the mayor of your town. I didn't mean to come here and preach this morning, but it's just the truth, because you ain't leaving. You're probably going to be here longer than him, so you might as well support him and support your trustees and elected officials while they're in office, because their job is to serve you, just like it's my job to serve you, and the fire department and so on. So I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have taught me, you have trained me up. Some of y'all done disciplined me, corrected me, and I appreciate you making sure that I know what it means to be a part of a community. Also, I wanted to share, before I bring Trustee Holmes up, for all those that participated in the march last week, the March Against Violence. Thank you so much for coming out and marching. I know it was issues with communications and issues with this and issues with that, but for those that had the opportunity to come out and show, again, your investment in the community, I appreciate you. I know that our elected officials appreciate you. There were so many residents that were driving by or stopped by afterwards and said, wow, thank you. And you know, I'm going to put this on the table just to let it marinate, because there were so many officials and participants from other communities that came, right? I just saw that the mayor and our chief attended a crime summit for all these suburban towns to come together and figure out what do we need to do to combat some of the crime that's going on in our community. Because as was said, and I know we don't care about what's going on in Harvey, some of us, and some of us don't care about what's going on in Calumet City, but if I can just be a little vulnerable here, the reality is, for those of us that have been here for years and worked in the police department, we know that many times the people that are doing crazy, they come from Lansing, South Holland, Harvey. They come here, they have relatives here, they went to school with people that live here. They come here, they do crazy, then they leave. You know, yeah, we have some of our own knuckleheads, but the ones that come here and leave, they really become our greatest issue, because we don't have a relationship with them. We don't know where they're from, where they came from. You know, many of our shootings that we've had, police-involved shootings, it was someone robbing somebody that came from another town. That's it. That's just the truth. So why am I sharing all this? I'm sharing this to say that we must come together. We must come together. We can't be, we're not an island. We're not. It's not Staten Island where there's this bridge between us and Chicago and Cal City and Harvey and so on. We're next door neighbors. Riverdale right across the street. Chicago right across the street. Right? Calumet City right over the bridge. Right? So we must come together as one. We must be concerned about our neighbors, because that's why I tell people that who neighbor was burglarized. You know, I say, you know, particularly with Neighborhood Watch, I say, you know, you may feel like, well, it wasn't me, and hey, that's their problem, and I'm just gonna, you know, keep my doors locked and stay behind my blinds, and it's not my problem. But what I always remind them, I say, you know, here's the issue. When you're isolating, you're alone, at least when you behave that way. After they've burglarized them, they come into the next house. They're not stopping. They're not stopping until we stop them. Now, I use the word we, and I want to talk about me and the police. I'm talking about we, me and the police and the community. Is that all right? Until we take a stand and say no more. It's not happening here in this town. It's not happening here on my block. It's not happening. I'm not going to stand for it and be silent and just let it happen. So in the same vein, we also must come together with other towns and find ways to partnership together, communicate, and work together and resolve what's going on in our community. Is that okay? Yes. Okay. Again, I see a lot of new faces here. I'm really, really grateful that so many of you are here this morning on this rainy Saturday morning. Glory to God. So thank you, everyone, for coming out. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Trustee Holmes. Give him a round of applause.
Ooh, thank you for coming out this morning. First, I want to start for those who filled out the complaint sheets at our last meeting about the illegal drug houses and the criminal activity that's going into those houses. Those houses have been watched. Those houses, there have been surveillance on those houses. There would be some movement on them houses. We took the complaints. We sat by those houses, and I'm not going to give those houses out due to, I know we're videoing, but those houses are going to be addressed. Now, some of the complaints about the abandoned houses and the grass, the cutting was supposed to start yesterday, but due to the weather, so it would start this week coming up. I have about 3 or 4 lawnmowers. We're going to start cutting those grasses ourselves, and then building or getting in touch with those homeowners, the banks or whoever own them. They're going to have to start coming out, or they got problems coming. So that's supposed to start yesterday, but those houses that are under surveillance, there'll be some movement starting on, should be on that this week. And third of all, with the march, due to a Chicago police officer being shot last week, I wasn't able to attend that march. So I had to attend that shooting there. And that's why and so many things. I like the marches. Marches are okay. Some I go to, some I don't. Because that's an education thing with me. See, Dr. King doesn't march so much everybody should know about this gun violence. And sometimes people get tired. It's time to get to action, get to the root of the problem. And we start on these blocks. And as it was stated, the majority of them don't even stay in Dolton. Try to give Dolton a bad name, but you know what? All be mighty to God. We're going to still keep pushing. We're going to identify those individuals, because as stated, with all of the shootings that was here, everyone that has a warrant don't even stay here. The ones that got arrested don't even stay here, except for one. And that was with the mother that was riding down Sibley. He stayed here. But all the rest of them don't even stay here. So Dolton, to me, is in good shape. And as we keep these blocks close-knit and let them know, we're standing up, we're giving up the video, we're giving up the names. And, and that's a signal. It ain't even saying it. I talk to people in Chicago. I say the same thing. I say, you know what? It's a little different than it is up here. These people talking, these people tell, and they stand up. And they give up the information to the police. That's why the cases are getting solved real quick, because they stand up, speak up, and talk up. And that's just about it. So, and if you all have any complaints or anything that you need that should be dealt with, anything that's going on your block, continue, fill it out today, and we'll get right on it and leave it in God's hand. Yep.
Mrs. Creighton, please.
I have a question, Trustee Holmes.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna, Trustee.
Trustee Holmes, the question that I have about the complaint forms, are they going to be stationed here, or can anyone pick them up at any time, and not just on our Project Connect afternoon?
No, they'll be stationed here. You can come in and ask for one of the complaints form, and they will put it in the mailbox and get it right to us.
Okay, because I thought that those individuals that had block clubs, or we have a group that we could take those forms with us and have those our individuals that are unable to make it to fill the forms out. That's right.
Yeah, you know what? You should be able to take them with you and fill it out and get it back up here. Or if not, you can just call, or take my number and just call. But you can take those forms with you and then get them forms back. There are some residents that can't make it, and then you can get those forms right to them. Yep.
Okay, we did want to open it up at this time for any complaints, comments, and concerns just for a moment before we move on to our next topic. So if you have any complaints, comments, concerns, questions, here's an opportunity. We know we do have complaint forms to fill out. We have Project Connect. Also on each of your sheets, there's the email numbers for our chief, deputy chief, and myself, the community liaison. They also occasionally give out their phone numbers as well. I don't believe I put it on there. It's not on there, but every meeting they've given it out. So I believe they're on their way. Excuse me?
Where are the complaint forms right now?
I'll get some from you from Mary. Have her run them off if they're not up there.
Okay, she's gonna make some copies. So if there's any comments, concern, I think Trustee hit on some things. What we missed, historically speaking, whenever the African American community fought for any form against injustice and things, there was a 3-tier fight. There was a protest, a demonstration, and then there was a lawyer fighting against the powers that be for whatever specific fight they wanted, whether it was voting rights, whether it was for a union, whatever it was. There was a 3-tier fight. And I think what he's speaking to is it's we all play a part, however we all have different roles. Some of us should be at the marches and marching. Some of us should be in political seats fighting from the inside. Others should be out on the streets, right? Knocking on these doors, in our neighborhood watches. So we all play a part in transforming our community to a better place. I understand that some of us, me included, didn't really appreciate what it meant to be a part of the community, knowing that to be a part of the community doesn't mean that I come home, I go to work and come home every day. To be a part of the community means that in my spare time, in my off time, in some of my family time, I'm going to give some of that up and be actually participating in what's going on in the community. I was talking to some young men some of my brothers and mentors via social media, what have you, and it was like, well, what can we do? And I said, well, what's 2 to 4 hours a month as a mentor, working in the schools, helping these kids do homework after school, at our park district. They're always looking for volunteers. They're always looking for someone. You know, what about your block club? Are you a participant? Are you a captain? Do you have any relationship with anybody else on your block but you? You know, it's like, you know, if roughly 20 people live on your block and you only know 2, you're probably not the best neighbor, Christian. I'm just saying. I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you, you know, loving thy neighbor and all, but you only know 2 neighbors, you know, well, the one on this side and this side, you know, but the crazies happening down the street, and you have no idea who they are. You don't know nobody to know who they are. So I know maybe you feel like I didn't sign up for this. You maybe feel like, well, I just bought my house and I just want to live in peace. Well, you know, there's this saying that if you want peace, you better be prepared for war. If you want your community to be one where you can come home and go to work, you need to be, when crazy does happen, when the small things, my chief was talking to me, we was talking last night, and we were sharing that if we get involved in the small things, the big things don't happen. If we hit things before they get too silly, before they get crazy, you know, I know there's a lot going on our social media about discrimination and the justice system being corrupt and so on and so forth. That's fine. You know that there are African American men predominantly on police force, your trustees and your political officials. These are your people that came from your community. These are not folk that came from the outside and decided they want to be the police. When you look at police department, you're gonna see a bunch of folk that look like your relatives at the family reunion. I'm just saying. So we need to dispel that notion, and we need to say, now, what can we do to support one another? Okay? And I don't mean to single out anyone that's not of African descent. That's not what it's about. It's about these narratives of racism, discrimination that continue to get overblown. And they do, and we all know they do. You know they do when we hear what we've heard and seen what we've seen in our community. The KKK is not coming to our community shooting nobody. I know you don't want to hear that.
No, we're not going to let them.
That's not what happened. Well, they too scared to come up in here, first of all. But you know who's not scared? Pookie and Ray Ray ain't scared at all. They live right next door.
Exactly. You're not going to say nothing.
Okay? So we need to do our part. And we all know what that is. I know that's not your child. You're right. I get it. That's not your child. I'm with you. Ain't my child either, okay? But what does it mean to begin a relationship? Young man, can you not do that in front of my house? Young man, we don't do that here. Young man, you know, and after the young mans, now it's like, now I got to call the po-po on you, young man. What you want me to do? I don't keep asking you to stop doing your nonsense, okay? So that's what we need to come to do, and we need to come together, okay? So if you can give a round of applause to my chief and deputy chief that just showed up. Y'all know they work all these. I've been on vacation. I have a confession. I can be up early because I've been on vacation. So you know, this ain't work for me. I just show up. You know, I'm fresh and everything. You know, they've been working. They've been working. They've been working. I know my deputy chief got about 3 hours of sleep. You know? So I really appreciate them being here and supporting us. So I'm going to turn it over to our chief and take it from here. So we're pretty much right here. Okay, Steve, can you just a little bit of some things?
Good morning, everyone. So glad to see you all out. As you all know, this was supposed to be our role reversal, but when I saw this rain coming down and it was hailing last night, the wind was blowing, I pulled up in front of my home and thought I was going to be blown away, but we're going to have to push that back and hope for some decent weather on next month. A few things that I want to go over with you all, give you some updates on some of the police stats that we've been doing. We heard some of your outcries and complaints with the traffic, and everyone may not know, but you may have seen a slight increase in us doing traffic, and these violators are running stop signs, speeding in different areas. When you give us your complaints, we try to set up a a special overtime detail so an officer can go over there and do that. So we have been doing that, and where we can't put a quota out there and say, hey, right, I need this many tickets, we can put the pressure on them to do it. And it's going on. Last night we had 2 accidents right there on Sibley. As much as it was raining, people are still flying. So we'll continue to interview. We just hired a young gentleman, I think, at the last board meeting for you all that were here. On the next board meeting, not the special one this upcoming Monday, but the regular board scheduled board meeting, it's my hopes to have another one being sworn in. He has completed the almost all of the process. All he has to complete is his drug screening and physical. Sometime where we send them to, they get a little bit flooded because it's an occupational health place. So we try to get them in and get them out as quick as possible. But sometimes drug results take a little longer. So we're steadily making progress. On Thursday and Friday of this week, we interviewed 7 more candidates. Some did not meet our criteria off the back, but the other ones we will be going through the next phase, which is doing the background check. So we're making some progress, and like I said, it's not an easy or fast process, but we are making some. And I think if we could bring on a few officers each month, by the time this weather breaks again, and more people come out, although crime has been going on steadily year round. It's not like the old days where us in law enforcement, we would look forward to the wintertime because it kind of gave us a break. But I believe last year in 2018, we had more homicides in the winter than we actually did have in the summer. So that just goes to show you that these young folks, they don't stop. It's all year round. And that's sad, but we're going to curb it, and we're getting a jump start on it so we could be on the offense and not on the defense. One of the things that we attended yesterday, the mayor headed up a summit, and the mayor, he's very proactive for this community. Whether you love him or hate him, you have to state one thing, that he's very proactive in the community and very vigilant. And he spearheaded a summit on yesterday at Thornwood High School, and he called legislation, state reps, ISP, Illinois State Police, Cook County. We had some Chicago reps there. We had judges, and we had different mayors from the surrounding community, and we had different police chiefs from the surrounding community. And it was an excellent meeting. And when I say the mayor beat the horse, he beat the horse on trying to get this emergency funding. That's the long-term goal, because that has to go to Springfield and to different levels. But some of the things that we talked about in the meeting was emergency funding for additional police officers, not just for us, but for this South Suburban region. A crime panel or task force, citywide curfew in the summertime, a crime hotline, which we already have that in place with the Dolton Police app, and now you have the Neighbors app and the Ring app. Community foot patrols, with the manpower, if we can get it up to par, we will be deploying people on foot patrols in the business district and encourage them in their zones to get out and walk a few blocks. Sometimes you miss things in patrolling, especially if you don't have that mindset. We send people to the academy and you teach them the basics, but some things you have to have within you in policing. So we want to identify that. Also, safety checks. We reached out to Illinois State Police for safety checks on the expressways and coming off. A joint venture with county and ISP, along with the Dolton Police Department, and doing safety checks starting next spring and then the summer, and maybe even this winter. I already knew that it's low manpower across the board. Chicago, ISP, Cook County, the local municipalities. It is low manpower, and how it got like that, well, we know how it got like that for Dolton, but just throughout, it's amazing, like how you can't afford, or say you can't afford to hire police officers when there are criminals just popping up every day, and we have to combat them. So that's some of the things that we talked about in this meeting. We got another meeting coming up. The time and the date hasn't been set. I know it will be either, I'm looking on here, it says May through July, so it'll be through that time frame. And it was a very excellent meeting. The media was out there. They were allowed to come in before it started, just to look at all the powerful people that were in there in this Southland area, but they were not allowed to record while we talked about the sensitive information, the plans and the goals moving forward. So just to let you know that, those of you who watch the board meetings, he's being very proactive. Since I've been here, he always tried to be, whether he had a favorable board or not. And that's one thing that I do respect about Mayor Riley, because he's been on all aspects. So you have some mayors that don't really care about their police department, and that's what make your village go round. The police department, your water department, and fire department. That's what really holds your municipality and village or town or city together. But by him being on all aspects, he gives us all of our needs and most of our wants, and that's very good to say. And I'm very proud to be a chief up under him. Moving forward, I don't know if Officer McNeil talked about some of our plans moving forward for, I think we have one more meeting left for this year. You all know in November and December we don't have it due to the holidays. And then when we pick back up in January, it's a slow start because the weather is bad and so forth. But we talked briefly a little bit last night, going over some things, and he has a very creative mind. He's very passionate, as well as myself, about trying to connect with you all. And I was just telling him, I was like, man, I said, we've been going at this for 3 years, and we can't get the numbers that we want, the connection that we want. And I say, I won't give up. And as I was thinking it, he said it, he's like, we have to go to the streets. So one of the plans that moving forward next year when we pick back up is that we have 4 zones in our village. So we're going to take the meetings out to the different zones. We're going to go through the streets and pass out flyers in your zone, and we're going to put flyers on every door, so you will be aware. We're going to do a better job on putting it out on our website, on the marquees of the library, the Park District, and Thorn Ridge, so that there will not be any excuse. So we're going to do what we have to do. We're going to do the ground and the grunt work. So it's going to be up to you all to come out and support and connect. Like I said, it's not a lot of communities that do this, and they may do it when they have an influx of crime or something like that. But we hold this at the end of every month for you all, to give you information, to have speakers come out. So we're going to come to each zone. Now, when we're in that specific zone, that doesn't mean that you are not welcome. We just taking it to the streets, so we can't be everywhere on that last Saturday. So we're going to go to a specific zone, and when we have the flyer, we will have the breakdown for what your zone is, from east to west to north to south, so you will know. But you are more than welcome to participate, whether it be we set up tables and chairs and have it right there on the block, shut the block down, have it in the church, or have it in the park. But you all will know where it's at, and we do encourage you to come. Just like if you were coming every Saturday here at the Village Hall, you're more than encouraged to come wherever we have it at, so that we can show people. Another thing is the block clubs. We're going to get this started, and We're going to do some initiative program to have a block club, captain precinct, and then a secondary person. And if it doesn't take the whole block to be in the block club, if you have 20 residents on your block, and if we can get 10 of them, that's enough for me, because those 10 are going to look out for that block, and then the other ones that don't want to get involved, either they're just lazy and don't care, or they may be renters, and or even bad people. So, but we're going to spearhead that. Myself, along with Officer McNeil, Code Enforcement Liaison Brian Thigpen, we're going to enforce that. If you have any problem homes on your block that may be from renters or owners, where it's crime, and you want to let us know, you can give myself a call, email me, and I will look into that. Now, some things that you may think it may be a nuisance, but it may not fall up under the crime-free housing. Crime-free housing is different. It's like crime. You may have people that have a lot of company and the music and so forth. That doesn't constitute. All we could do with them is send the police over there, give them a warning, come back, hit them with some tickets, fine them, so forth. But the actual crime-free housing, I've been successful in getting a few tenants, homeowners to get their tenants out of there, because most of them are renters. I just sent Officer McNeil and another officer to a updated class, which they're going to bring back to the department last week, and they're going to bring back to the department and give us some insight and the knowledge that they learned, along with the Ms. Sharon from housing. So we're spearheading that. We're moving that along. We got a lot of good things coming up and effective immediately and coming up that I'm very excited about. I just want to give you all an update on some of the things that we're working on, and we're gonna do this. I'm confident, and I'm not a quitter. I'm a Marine, so we don't quit. We're the first to fight, and I just have some core values that I won't be defeated. I won't lay down. I won't give up. And I'm confident that when we get out and go to the streets, and whatever we have to do to get the people out, if we got to fire up the grill and give out some juices, and people come out when you feed them. If that's what we got to do to get some people out, I'm all for it. To incorporate some money in the police budget where we could do that. I would like to have a big picnic next year, where we invite the community out, and it's strictly by the police department. It's not by the mayor. It's not by the board of trustees. This is strictly the police department, and get some jumpy houses, a dunk tank, and all type of things, just so that the police officers can dress down, and you can connect and see us in a different light. One of the things, we talked to one of the judges, Judge Like, he's out of 26 in California, and he was giving us some knowledge that a lot of these people with guns, youth in particular, they may get caught with the weapon, but that's not a violent offense. It's just possession of a weapon. So one of the things that he want us to push for is to make, if you're caught with a weapon, possession of a weapon, for that to be a criminal offense, because we're catching some of these people, youth and adult, but they go before the judge, and the judge, they have people that give them advice. Okay, we looked over the record. This is the first time offense being caught with it. We're just gonna SOL it, no restriction, tap them on the wrist, and they out. But when you say that, you leave them back out. Yeah, we may have gotten that weapon off the street, but they'll get another one. And now here you are walking around 3-4 years as a juvenile with a weapon, and when you walk around with that for a little bit, you start to get more comfortable, and then depending on your crew, you start to do more things. You start off small, and when you get away with small stuff, you start going bigger and bigger and bigger. Then it comes to the point where somebody's tapping on your window, and you look over and it's a weapon in your face, or they're doing a carjacking or anything like that. So that's one of the things that you all may not know, that it's not that the police are doing their jobs, but it's like multiple entities. We can arrest them and lock them up, but when they go to the next phase, it's laws set in place, whereas they could be let back out. They could be set down for a couple of days and back out, and it goes like that. So that's one of the things that we did talk about. And whereas he can't advocate for it because he's a judge, he has to stay neutral. He has superiors as well. So that's one of the things that he was encouraging the mayors and managers to push for to the state reps and move and even higher for us to make that a crime for you to have a possession of a weapon. One of the things that I brought to light at the right before the end of the meeting, that Cook County is the largest county, the second largest county in the United States. That's crazy when you think of that. Us right here in this county, we're the second largest county in the United States, but we're one of the weakest counties when it comes to prosecution. And that's crazy. And what baffled me, let's take United States out the equation, because we're in Illinois. So if we're the second in the United States, that means we're the largest in Illinois. And you have other counties, Lake, Will, McHenry, that will slam you for the smallest offense. I believe, and I stated it before, I believe in restorative justice, reaching out to the youth that may be stealing a pack of gum, trying to steal a T-shirt or whatever. Sometimes you don't know their background, what comes to it. Some are being facetious, and some may not be fortunate enough to have new sneakers or a T-shirt and maybe getting teased. So when we come across those individuals, we got all type of programs to set up where we try to find out and identify. But for these ones that's toting guns, robbing, you're doing grown man crime. You need to do grown man time. That's just the way I feel about it. Being in the service in some of these countries, you get caught stealing, guess what? You lost a hand. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sick in the head or anything, but sometimes you got to look at how other places do things and look at their statistics and crime rate and so forth. Like, you go to other countries or you go on vacation and you getting off a cruise ship or you on your way to the resort and you riding that bus and you'll see their police dressed military style with AK-47 strapped on them along with a sidearm and maybe even a bayonet. So they're ready to go, and when you give that appearance, and then it shuts a lot of stuff down. That's not to say that they don't have crime, but it definitely deter it. And where we don't want our town to look like a war zone, you have to know what day and age that we're living in. And with the social media and the loss of police power, and everyone knows their rights and everyone wants to be an attorney and so forth, it's a lot of things that we cannot do anymore that we were privy to do back in the day. It was a mutual respect where if you caught a drug dealer or a gangbanger, you take them to the alley, you go upside the head, and it was a mutual respect. Hey, don't disrespect me. And they were just glad that they didn't go to jail. They may not have them drugs anymore. Now, guess what? That means they got to hustle 10 times harder to do it, but it was a mutual respect, and it wasn't all this killing unless you were a heavy hitter. All this senseless killing, it wasn't that. Just these straight bullets just killing young boys, girls, men, women, seniors. It wasn't all that. So it's we just live in a different day, and we have to realize that. And you have people out here that's copycat people. They'll see something going on in another place, and they don't have nothing to live for. And they in a rut and don't have any support, so they say, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get my 5 minutes of fame. You have to recognize that. That's why I stress being so vigilant and always looking at your surroundings, because when you think about it, it's not just here, all over the United States, no place is untouchable. If you think about it, and if you can name me a place that hasn't been hit by senseless crime or gun violence, and then, I'll wait or think about it and let me know. But when you think about it, churches, police departments, concert events, movie theaters, grocery stores, shopping malls, you name it, no place. And so that's why you just have to be vigilant. And if something don't look right, you find the nearest police officer, the nearest security guard. Don't ignore things. If you're in the mall and you're shopping and you see some person that stands out or look a little strange, it's okay to find the nearest security officer and to give a description, because that may save hundreds of lives. Okay, so that's just some of the stuff that we got going on. I'm excited about it. We're going to keep moving forward, and we're just going to go. Yes, Ms. Creighton.
Can we, Chief, I wanted to just say to you that today's meeting, we have come a long way. Remember, when we were hosting the meetings on Thursday, there might have been maybe 6 of us here. The last meeting, we had over 200, and look at the people today. So I think we're moving in the right direction, wouldn't you say?
I think so, absolutely. Like us, when I sit down and I say good morning, I'm smiling because, hey, trust me, I know for myself, and I know Officer McNeil, he's very passionate. It does my heart good to see that you all here. It really does. So
And
I just want to
day, yes.
on a rainy day, yeah, on a rainy day. So give yourselves a round of applause on a rainy day.
And also, I just wanted to say that, just remind everyone about the police app, because we didn't get a chance to talk about that a lot at the last meeting.
Yeah, the police app. Dalton has a police app. If you, everyone, I don't think anyone should have a flip phone anymore, but if you got an Android or an iPhone, it's called the Dolton Police app. You just go on and download it. It's no charge or anything. And on there, it has different elements on it. It can give you most wanted list, what's happening in the community. One of the things Officer McNeil, he mentioned that, and he said, what's going on there? And I said, with all this been going on, I'll be honest, I haven't had a chance to look at it. So he agreed to take on, as well as I got to give it to Deputy Chief Lacey to go in there and to be able to monitor it. And see who's giving any complaints or concerns, and I want to give a weekly update as to what the police department is doing or has done on that, so you all could see. And it's just information for you. And when we have the monthly meetings, you'll know exactly where we are, what we have done, what we've been doing, what's going on in the community from month to month. You'll know what's going on. So it's the Dolton Police app. And you can go to your I think if you got an Android, go to your Play Store. I don't know what it's called for the iPhone, because I'm an Android person. But you go, the app. Boo. Boo. Go to that and download it. And you can leave anonymous tips. So you can put your information in there and it'll remain anonymous. And then, we can give you some feedback on it or respond to you. Okay. One of the other things moving forward in this summit meeting that we had, I forgot to mention, they're trying to get funding for the schools, all the schools, because this is just what I said, the sign of times that we're living in. They want to get funding for a trauma unit in the schools. And you all probably never thought, like, wow, I thought I'd never see that time where we need a trauma unit inside the schools. But with all this has been going on for the last maybe 15 years now, that's just the day and time that we're living in. So we talked about, that's one of the things, we talked about funding for a trauma unit and for SROs in all the schools. I know in the high schools we have them. I know the principals in the school district presidents from all the school districts in Dolton have been reaching out to see if we can put officers in the grammar schools where we can't slate a body, we can create a detail where if they can go, and if we can't fulfill it, then, you know, our counterparts, county, is the next step that we can do. But we want to definitely make sure that our children are safe, that the teachers feel safe coming from wherever there's prospective areas that they live in to come to work so that they can teach our youth and young people. That's about it for me. I'm going to let Deputy Chief Lacey, he may have a few words for you. And, one more thing. We have a system, it's called DACRA. So what it is, it's a electronic device. It basically eliminates paper. So, you know, we're trying to catch up to the 21st century. And with that being, we're going to go to electronic ticketing. So meaning that when the officers write the tickets, they'll have a printer inside their vehicle and they're printed out right there. Also with code enforcement, housing, for the parking, when you get your license plate sticker or you get your village sticker, I'm saying you put it in the visible spot, put it where it's supposed to be, because with this new system, with the parking enforcement, when they're out there, and first they'll run your license plate, and this is how fast it's going to be. We just had a class on it. We went to a training week before last. You could literally do a ticket in 5 seconds. And when they run the license plate, and they're going to have a tablet. When they put your license plate in, boom, everything from the register owner pops up. All they have to do now is we'll probably have about our top 10 violations. They'll pick one of them. Okay, put your license plate in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Boom. All the information comes up. Who it's registered to, and then they'll pick no village sticker. Boom. Put that in. It takes a picture of it. Print the ticket out. So now when you say I had my sticker, guess what? You may have purchased it, but you didn't put it in there. So now, when you go to court for the local adjudicator, then you're going to be found liable, because even if you didn't, you purchased it, but you didn't have it properly displayed. So I don't know what it is about people not wanting people to know what village they stay in or whatever, but you need to put it on that left or right side on your front windshield in the middle, not down low where it becomes tinted, or not up high where it becomes tinted and you can't see it. So that's to let you all know as the citizens what's coming ahead, because we like to be informative and let you know. And I think it's our goal to have this implemented by November 1st. The only thing we have to do is get the equipment, the printers and the tablets. And then we'll be rocking and rolling from there. Yes.
Are you going to have code enforcement helping with parking violations in addition to the police, or not?
Well, code enforcement, they're more geared to some of the housing stuff, high grass, garbage, working on houses without permit. But for the 2 years now, we have 2 of the crossing guards. I don't know if you all may know Miss Cobb and Miss Royster. For 2 years, once they cross the children in the morning, they come to the police department. We got them a van. They got a decal on it. They switch their uniform off, take off their crossing guard patch, put on the parking enforcement, and they go through throughout the village. And they do that till the time until they cross the children in the afternoon. So they do that 5 days a week for about 4 hours a day, just going through getting the parking violators. If you park wrong, if your license plate tag is expired, or if you have no village sticker, or if it's an abandoned vehicle, that's what they've been doing for the past 2 years. And I got a stack in my office about that high. And so they're out there every day. Our officers really haven't been able to be proactive in getting people, the violators that don't have their village stickers. So if you have not got it, I would say get it, because we're going to have Operation Village Sticker Sweep. So for all of you all that don't have it, you have opportunity to get it, because we're going to have them going through, and definitely on the midnight shift, because that's when a lot of people are at home. And if you're not parked in the garage, or you're parked on the street or your driveway, then you will probably see a ticket. So for those of you that are watching, please get your village sticker. This is a public service announcement. Yes, Mr. Gezi.
In continuation with that situation, back in July, I was going in front of Food for Less. I was behind one of the Dolton squad cars. Every handicap spot was filled. Nobody had handicap placards. Nobody had handicap plates on.
Yes.
And it was 95 degrees, so nobody wanted to park out. I was following behind the squad car. Squad car did not stop and give anybody a ticket. And it was right in front of Food for Less. That same day, I was over at Menards. There was no squad car. Every handicap spot was filled in front of Menards, because nobody wanted to walk to go into Menards. And it was 95 degrees that day. I got the date and the time when it happened.
Right, that has been brought to my attention. So I did, I asked all the supervisors, I said, hey, if someone is parked in a handicap parking spot, do the officers write ticket for that, yes or no? And they said yes. And it was brought to my attention because one of our officers went on a call, and somebody complained like, hey, they parked in a handicap parking spot, but they're not handicapped. And the officer said, oh, well, we don't write. So we got with that officer and said, hey, if you're going to be an officer in the village of Dolton, you need to know what you can and what you can't do. If we don't write them, who's going to write them? There's no outside agency. Food for Less don't have their own handicap parking ticket writers. So yes, we have been made aware of that, and they do know that any place, any business in the village of Dolton, if they do have handicap parking and someone is parked there that's not handicapped, that they can issue them a citation. A lot of people believe that if you got a handicap plate or a placard, that, for instance, my mom has one, and if I use her car and I park and she got it hanging, a lot of people think like, oh, I can use the handicap. No, it's for the person. It's for the person. So meaning that if she's not in her own vehicle, if she's in my vehicle, she could take it because she's riding with me. And even if I'm sitting there and somebody comes up, I say, oh, it's for my mom, she's coming out. So that's a little education for people, because, and mostly it's the young folks. All of us in here probably know that's when they're driving their grandmother or their mother or father car, and they want to pop that up there and park in it. Yeah, so if you do see that, give the police a call. If you see someone out, one person in the car, and if they look like, hey, they can run and do this, that, and the other, you can give us a call, and we could check them out. And if they only got the doctor paperwork, because some people do have that, but they don't look like they're handicapped, but they do have some elements. So if they can produce their paperwork, it don't mean that you got to be slunched over and walking with a cane and so forth. A lot of people do have the approval and got the went through the steps. If the officer did give you a ticket, you would have to bring something to court stating, yeah. So in stating that it goes to you, everyone has a letter stating that who it's for. That's what I'm meaning. Like if the person did placard that number, you can run that number and it tells who it goes to. So then at that point, that person will produce the license, and then it should match up. So I stand corrected when I said paperwork or whatever, but the placard states who it goes to. Yes, ma'am.
I'm one of them people. Good, but I have a plate and a placard. And if they pull you over, you have two pieces. Like I said, you have your driver's license, and they also your state ID. And if you are disabled, they have it on there, so they know when you come and if you're not the right person, when you pull out your ID or whatever, that's right on the right side, it'll say that you're disabled.
Right. So I think that it's, I think that it may be different levels to it, but I definitely know that if you have the placard and they run that number, it goes to the person who it was meant for. So that's what I'm saying. Like, if Ray Ray is driving his grandmother's car and he want to run into Food for Less or any business and someone see him, then you can call and then we can wait for that person to come out and run that number. And it's not going to say Ray Ray, it's going to say Miss Bertha Jones. So now Ray Ray going to get a ticket and get that $200 or $500 fine. Okay, I'm gonna pass it along to Deputy Chief Lacy, see if he has something that he want to pass on, some information for you, and then we'll turn it back over to Officer McNeil.
How y'all doing this morning? Good. I'm not going to say much. I'm just going to say that it's glad to see y'all, not just on the negative, but on the positive also. One thing I can say, in working with the chief and working with Officer McNeil and Trustee Holmes and the mayor, is that we are moving forward. You're going to hear a lot of negative stuff, but the bottom line is we're moving forward. So the only thing I'm going to say to you is that when you see me in uniform, suited and booted, I'm out there on the street. Same thing with the chief, Officer McNeil. So this is what the direction that we're going in. We just hope that and pray that we continue in this direction, which we are, and you're going to see a difference, and you should be seeing a difference now. So I'm just going to say, stay with us, stay prayerful, and the village of Dolton is definitely moving forward.
All right, we have a question.
Deputy McNeil, I have a question, or I want to say something. Last week, someone stole the catalytic converter of my car. And so I started talking with the neighbors just to let them know as well that, that could happen. But just in talking with the neighbors, I found out that there were at least a couple of other people where all of that had happened like last week. Up at the metro station, there was a lady. Thank you. Up at the metro station, there was a lady where it happened with her. Another lady on another block, someone told me it had happened with her, and it happened with me as well last week. So I just want to mention that for other neighbors too. We're all in Dolton, so we're all neighbors. To mention it here, I even went to the police station. I knew that there was nothing that could be done about it. I mean, they took it and it was gone. But I wanted it to be brought up in the meeting just so that people are aware that that's happening. And the 3 incidents that I know of all happened last week.
And you are probably 100% correct. It's just not limited to Dolton. I mean, one thing that we have on our phones, and I'm sure you guys have, are those rings. So when something happens, guess what? It's put out there. But what I have a problem with, it'll say Dolton. No, it's not just Dolton. It's Dolton, South Holland, Riverdale, Cal City, okay, Chicago, Harvey. It's not just us. What you have is you have a group that goes around and they move around. And what they do is they may come to, say, Dolton and steal some converters. All right? They may go to Riverdale and in the city. So what we're doing now, as far as what we're being proactive, is we're having these guys stay in their zones, okay? To whereas everything that pretty much happens, it to an extent happens at night. And you don't find out about it until the morning.
Just lift your voice.
So you may find out in the morning that your catalytic converter is gone. We can't say that we're going to stop it, but we're definitely going to curb it. But one thing is for sure is you're right. You may have 2 or 3 people within the village that their catalytic converter is gone. What they're doing is we're getting the copper out of it, and that's their money. So what I can say is we are working on that as far as being more vigilant to where the officers are, in fact, going down these blocks, going down these streets, not just hanging on Sibley, but basically in these neighborhoods. So I can say that definitely, yes, it is a concern, and that's something that the chief's office, along with myself and the officers, are working on now.
I have not seen the police come down to the other one. I just want to say that it's not that one. But I would like to see a little bit more vigilant coming down that way. I don't know.
Just hold it so we know you're going to speak next.
I realize that, but I just wanted people here to maybe, so that when you when you pass out something, issues and things that are going on, maybe you can add to the agenda, so people are aware that this is going on, and they can take precautions to really do that in this stuff.
Absolutely. And one thing, this officer definitely said, we stepped up our patrols, and we are going on in these side streets. So you might not see a squad car, depending on where you go to your window, but believe me, they are going down the block. If you have a concern, then yes, call. Call it and let us know. And if you're not getting the result that you think you should get, then you call my office, you call the chief's office, and believe me, you're going to get the result that you should have gotten in the first place.
Along with supporting that, one of the initiatives that Chief brought up relating to us going to specific zones, right, and having our meetings, it's also to get information on that specific zone so we can put it out. So you can be aware in this area, like you're saying, for instance, catalytic converters being stolen. Here are some things you can do to be a little more vigilant, right? Many of us have the Ring app. I think that's an excellent investment, the Ring app. We have, you have what's called IntelliBulbs. IntelliBulbs are bulbs that stay on at night when the sun goes down, and then go off when the sun goes up. You just keep your light switch on, it'll come on by itself, right? So why is that significant? Because we have more illumination. Most times criminals, they don't like stuff being done in the light, right? So instead of having the light that comes off and on with movement, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, you have this IntelliBulb that when the sun goes down, it's staying on the whole time. All right, when the sun comes up, it's going off. So you never have to switch it off. And there's little things like that that we can do to stay more vigilant, right? With the Ring app. Go ahead, dear.
How do you spell IntelliBulb?
Hold on, this is what I'll do. You can get them on Amazon. You can get them in Menards. Yeah.
So you can use those same bulbs with your on and off?
Yes. Instead of like outside, instead of the on and off, but you put that bulb in. It's an LED bulb, so it's very bright. It lasts for years. I just actually found this out yesterday. It lasts for years. My wife just bought some. Listen, I'm like, get these bulbs right now. So it's
the price range?
The price range I saw was about $15 for about 2 bulbs. That's what I saw on Amazon. I'm not sure what's at Menards, but I know they do sell them at Menards. About $30. So that's why I always, if you are, I'm an Amazon person, you just get stuff cheaper.
You know what? I'm sorry. I have to go. I have to go what you guys are paying me to do. So therefore, I have to go back to the street. So therefore, I'm going to turn. But Officer McNeil is going to get everybody those bulbs he's talking about on his account. So
get out of here, man. Next time, just leave. You don't need to know you leave. All right. Thank you again, Deputy Chief, for coming. Go ahead, dear.
I want to ask, if someone has purchased you a car and it's in their name, but it stays out in the community, must it be transferred over within a certain time to be registered in Dolton?
Let me just make sure I got the question correct. If someone purchased you a car,
Yes.
and it's in their name,
Yes.
so it's
For you.
so that address is still outside of town,
Yes.
right? So yes, if someone's done that, are you talking about as far as village tag is concerned?
Yes.
Right. No, you won't be cited. This is why our women and officers, they're trained to run the plate first. The plate has to come back to Dolton, okay, for them to write you a village tag sticker violation, okay? So in that event, no, you won't get a ticket for not having your village tag. For Dolton, you could get a ticket for not having village tag for that town, though.
Okay.
All right? So if it's registered in South Holland and there's no South Holland sticker, then you could still get a ticket for not having any sticker at all. Okay? Any questions regarding that? Okay. All right.
Okay. As you can see, I passed this a free senior enrichment seminar series. I get an influx of emails for different programs for the seniors. So this gives you all the information. The only thing I'm going to reach out. The only thing that I know is for some of you all, it may be hard getting downtown, but I'm going to leave some at the front, and as I get them the emails for the different programs that they that they give, because you can see it's a free senior enrichment series. So like I said, I've been getting some emails, and this was the most recent one that I got, so I printed it out, and I will be, when I get them, I will be putting them up in the Village Hall, and possibly sending out an email for you all that's on the email list to know about it. I can scan it, and we can send it out to you all's email. So if you do have email, please see Officer McNeil and give your email, because we do a blast on updates for the meetings and when it's going to be as it get closer. We put it out there. And I saw another typo, so that lets me know Officer McNeil, he did the new agenda, and at the end just changed the date. I don't know why he want to have this meeting at 10 p.m. but but I think he want to have popcorn and movie night. But it's the next meeting will be Saturday, October 26, 2019 at 10 a.m. He has 10 p.m. again, but it's 10 a.m. So I don't want you all to get mixed up and be like, we must gonna have a movie night or something like that. But it's 10 p.m. But this is something for you to take advantage of and get some more information and knowledge about. I think it's evictions, right? This is foreclosures. Yeah, foreclosures. So if this is something that you're interested in, please take advantage of it. Thursday, October 10th, 2019, from noon to 1:30 p.m. Okay.
We had two questions. Go ahead, sir. No.
Yes, sir.
You know, you said if you see something, call, and I do that occasionally. I don't do it a lot. Now, I'm a shots fired guy. If I hit shots, I call, hey, 7 shots, he's got fired. Like in the middle of the night, whenever. But between, like, I'm just give you an example. Between Shepherd and, on Shepherd, between Woodlawn and University. Sometimes on the weekends, sometimes on the weekdays, you might have 20 or 30 people just hanging out there, smoking weed, standing in the street, drinking, or whatever. And sometimes I just ask for a squad car, just drive down the block, not to harass any one particular person, you know, because I ain't even picking on the kids just because they're kids. But sometimes they want to move out the street, they want to move out the alley so I can get down the alley. And so the last time I called, dispatch, it seemed to be a problem. She asked me like 1,000 questions to get a squad car to roll down. Like, is it male or female? It's both. How many is there? There's 20 to 30. What's the car? They're all down the street, like all on the block. Like normally there's only 5 or 6 cars on the street. It's like 20 cars.
Right.
You just roll the car. I said, I'm not asking to pick on anybody. Just roll the car. Because I know for a fact, because I used to be police in Chicago, if I get on the drug corner, the drug dealers leave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just asking for the car to roll down the block. That's it.
Right.
I'm not pointing anybody out or anything like that. And then when I came back out to the car to get something, and I saw the squad car down there, all the cars was leaving. Just like I.
Right. So.
We got you, sir.
So one of the things that what's funny is that we have a good dispatch center, but sometimes they're trained to ask certain questions. In that manner, if you were to call in, you'd be like, hey, it's a group of individuals standing right here, boom, boom, boom. Could you send a squad car to have them move along? Sometimes they want to get pertinent information, but if it's just they making noise and it's a group of individuals, then yeah, I would have sent them. I would have let the officer know when I dispatch it. Hey, over in 142nd and Woodlawn, you got a group of individuals, maybe 5 to 10 individuals. Citizen will want them moved along, and then that's it. A lot of times they do need to get certain information just for officer safety reasons, but with that, we have some of our clerks that work in the police department, and sometimes they want to give information. No, call an officer in, get a supervisor and let them answer it, because you're a clerk, you're not the police. So sometimes everybody want to be the police, but that's something that I will talk to the supervisor. A lot of times they can get them rolling and still ask you some questions and just as much as explaining why. Everybody, what you have to realize, everybody that's in any type of job, you can find somebody that shouldn't really be in that job. You go to the Social Security offices, and then you have a person got an attitude, how may I help you? I'm like, some people need to be at a job where they're in a cubicle by themselves and they ain't got to deal with nobody. It seems like the people that's working with the public always have the nastiest attitudes. So that's why we stress with our clerks at the police department, and we're constantly giving them training and then so forth on customer service. And every day is not going to be a good day, but we stress to them. And when I say we stress to them that anyone that's coming to the police department is not coming for no good reason. They're coming because they want to get their property because they was just arrested. They want to pay for a tow where their car got impounded. They calling to make a report or they calling to make a complaint. Now, sometimes we do get some compliments, but for the most part, people are coming and it's not for a good reason. So, hey, those clerks, they need to put on their happy face and see how they can help them. So that's one thing that we do stress. Yes, Mr. Gezzi, you had a question?
Yeah, she was next.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, ma'am.
I just want to say a few things. One, you all are doing an awesome job. Like you said, everybody has a good and bad day. And that's just the way life is right now. But you all are doing an awesome job and don't give up.
Thank you. Now,
You shouldn't give up on you all.
well, we appreciate it. Well, we're definitely not going to give up. We have a good core of officers here, and like I said, it's a process, but I want to get the best qualified candidates to serve this community. So, like I said, I'll stress it. If I have to go through 100 to get one good one, that's what I have to do. But we're trying to get the best men and women to provide protection for our community.
Also, too, I'm totally into the block clubs and everything. I'm from Chicago, and I was a block president. With the zoning, they should have, like, when you do the zoning, the 4 zones and everything, have certain people to be like a representative to help out, to go hand in hand with the officers. That's a key thing that will help for trying to get the blocks together also, too. And another thing is that we need neighborhood signs. Just to put in the window, put in the door, put in the stores, to let them know. We'll call 911. We'll call. Get the people to let them think that, okay, maybe we won't go to this neighborhood because somebody might call. But we do need those signs out.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can. I don't know. It depends on the printing company. But if I can, I would like to have those for the next meeting. If not, then definitely when we head back up, we will have some. I've been thinking about one, not just the traditional one, but I think they got one where it say neighborhood watch, and then it got the little guy peeping over, something like that, you know what I'm saying? Or something pertaining to us, like, representing us, like, I see you, don't, something. But we're going to come up with something. It's going to be real nice. You all will like it. Yes, Mr. Gezzi?
Yeah, I got a question. When you call on a landline, the 911, where's that call go to?
That call is, it depends on which tower picks it up.
Now,
A landline. Well, it should. I don't know. I will have to get back to you, and I do have your number.
Because the situation I had a 911 call on August 20th. I had a situation where a person and a dog, it was a German Shepherd, and I have a back fenced-in yard with sensors in there, so any motion in that yard, I can pick up sensing in it. I go outside, the dog attacked me. It's a German Shepherd. Dog came at me, tried biting me, and I took a club, I hit it alongside the head. The owner's out there trying to get control. I said, either you get control of that dog, your dog's I'm gonna end it right here. Because no dog is gonna attack me in my yard and bite me. And I called 911 on 8/20/19 at 8:10 a.m. No police, nothing came out there. And that person tried getting hold of that dog, he grabbed the dog, and the dog broke loose and still ran down the street. It was a big German Shepherd.
Okay.
And they tried attacking me in that yard.
Okay.
And that's why I says, all right, we're talking half an hour later after I make a 911 call, being attacked by a dog in my yard, and I still don't even have a police officer over.
Right.
Half an hour later.
Okay, when we dismiss, let us get that information, and then we can go back and backtrack and listen to the call when you called in and see if it was even dispatched out, and if so, who was the responding officer, and then we can handle that accordingly. Yes, ma'am.
I have several questions. I've lived here now 30 years. Before, no cars are allowed to park in the alleys, and sometimes when I'm driving, I see where cars are parked in the alleys. So if in fact the police officers' cars are driving and they see, will they give them tickets for that?
When you say parked in the alley, like,
Parked in the alley.
like is it behind their garage or nothing?
I don't know, but I'm just driving past and I didn't know cars are allowed to just sit in alleys.
Okay.
Are they allowed to?
I would say if it's an alley where you have a garage and you have your pavement where your door, and if you park right there and not obstructing the alley, then that's fine. But if they are obstructing the way to get through, right? Yeah, if it's behind their property, like you have the little the concrete. That if that is, but if it's a concern because police call in and say, hey, we got this vehicle, because sometimes people, they'll dump a stolen vehicle off there. So yeah, if it hasn't been, and you see like a random car out there, then give a call and say, hey, could you check this car out and make sure it's not stolen? And they will come. And then if it is, or if it's an abandoned vehicle, then if it's abandoned, we'll ticket and put a tow sticker on it. If it's stolen, we'll tow it immediately and try to notify the owner, or whatever town it got stolen out of, that agency will notify the owner that it's been recovered.
The other thing I want to say thank you to Mr. Holmes, because housing did come and cut the grass and got most of the bushes and weeds from the house next door, which has been vacant for over 3 or 4 years. However, in the alley, if a fire truck ever have to go in the alley, because the bushes and trees are hanging all over, then I hope they can get through, because I called Commonwealth Edison and I asked them about the power lines. Because trees, be it where a resident lives and not live, the branches are hanging, so I was concerned that when winter comes and we get rain in the winter time, how heavy those branches get if the lines are broken down. And so Commonwealth Edison said that the only way they would restore power, because I got power line going through my house and my neighbors' trees are all over, that the person that the trees are on the property would have to cut those trees down before power is restored. So I don't know if in fact Village of Dolton either says to us as residents that we have to get our trees trimmed so things like that don't happen. I don't know.
Right. With the trees, you can always contact Public Works Superintendent Matt Stacy and/or Housing, and they can give you the information on housing and or Public Works, and they will go over there and assess it, and then they'll know if it's something that we can trim or if it's the responsibility of the homeowner.
Oh, even though it is in their backyard, there's resident, neighbor next door, they don't cut their trees. It's all the way over to where now it's over the power line. The one that where the house is vacant, where I gave you the address before, that is, it's all up in the alley.
Okay, yeah, we can take that information, and I'll relay it, but make sure that you call as well on Monday to Housing and Public Works, and they can get it, and I'll pass it along to Superintendent Matt Stacy.
Okay, and last question is, Mr. Holmes, you said I could call the number you gave me to get the thing that goes in the street, but it would not go through your line. So I said, when I see you this morning, I would mention it, because where I live, there's a park right on the corner. And so when these cars are coming through, I pray for those children.
Okay, yes. Well, I'll work with you on that, because I'm going to walk with you, as I said, to get the petition signed.
Yes.
And put it into the right people's hands so we can get them speed notice out there.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Right, and before you leave, you might want to see Clerk Dugan. I know it's an application process. It's an application, and then I believe it goes to the okay, I'm sorry. No, wait till Monday. Okay. She's normally here, I believe, from 9 to 1.
Right.
Okay, yeah, come Monday, and then get the application for the speed bump, and it goes through a process. Okay.
Okay?
All right. Yes, Mr. Kez.
Just a question on that speed bump. That was approved approved by the board back in March. And when Chief Collins was here, they were supposed to put those on our block. ARA came out, did a survey and everything else. We're going into October, still no speed bumps. What's the status on this?
Well, that would be something that you have to address at the next board meeting or come up here. Only part. Yeah, the only part that we do, Mr. Gezzi, is as far as we just do the survey. Once it comes to us, we do the survey, and then I know that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that's the only part that the police department handles is doing the survey and then giving the feedback as to how many people got caught speeding, the speed limit, and so forth, and then the other parties that be deem and they'll go through them. I think no speed bumps have been placed due to funding. I think that's what it is, but I would definitely address that concern, either coming to the village hall and talk to someone or do it at the next board meeting, okay? All right, if they're, yes.
This is for Trustee Holmes. I know that you all have target blocks that are important to you, but I've asked for you to come to my neighborhood. You know my block, I'm not gonna say it on this camera. There's 2 trees that are so large, they're coming together, and it's blocking the light. Now, we want our street just as safe as every other block, but how can it be safe if you can't see the light?
The lights with all of that.
And I've asked, I've begged, don't say anything about the public works because I've already done that. I've given you the address, I gave it to them.
Yeah, I took pictures of that.
I know you did, but now I need to see them trim. I can't see across to my neighbors because of these trees that have come together and block that one light that we have.
And what I'll do, I'm gonna call him today, even though he's off, and ask him to expedite that and see why they haven't been out there.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Yes,
and
ma'am.
Chief, anything that you have, like these flyers that you want to give, please take them to the library as well.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
If you want to have something called Talk to Allison Withers, anything like that, she may want to have somebody to come out where they won't have to go downtown. They'll come just to the library to talk about it.
Right, yeah, that's what I said. I was going to reach out and talk to whoever's heading this up and see if they'll be willing to come out. I know why they have it down there. It's not a central location, but this is through the Cook County office, so they're having it down there in the county building. But it would be nice to get them to come out, even if it's just spread it out to some of the South Land, and we just pick a centralized spot so that they can come out, because some of the seniors can't make it, and some people are deterred from going downtown. I know I don't like going down there, and if I do have to go, I try to make sure it's in between rush hour traffic. Okay, so if we, yes ma'am. How many? Currently, I think we have about 28. Yeah, realistically, I believe back in, I forget, I want to say probably in the mid-'80s, they had 60 police officers. Right. And crime was nowhere near what it is now.
Different times.
Without going into too much, I know you need to go back out there, but what is the typical day of how they're assigned within the neighborhood?
No, but trust me, Dolton is huger than you realize if you're the police.
Probably, but I'm still just curious as to having 28, and are they all actively out in the street, or are there a lot of them inside on the street?
No, when I say 28 officers, that's 28 officers. That's not including administration. That's patrol officers. But you can have like 8 assigned to a shift. But you have off days. We work a 4 and 2 rotation, meaning they work 4 days on, 2 days off, then right back. But you have to factor in vacation time, call off sick time, people injured. It's a lot of different factors. And one of the things that we want to do a citizen policing academy, and with that, when we spearhead that, take you on ride-alongs. You have to, our citizens, this is just going to be for in-house, because a lot of people call and say, hey, do you all do ride-alongs? But for the people that's in the policing citizen academy, do a ride-along, and to show you where you think like, they say, oh, it's only 4.5 miles, 5 miles square radius. But when you're right here, and you got to go all the way to 154th and so forth, and getting over there, it's not, even with lights and sirens, it's not as easy or as quick as you think or as small as you think. That's just like if you're on the West End at Wentworth and you got something going on at Menards and the officer needs help. It's not, trust me, yeah.
But I'm thinking 28, that you don't have anyone over on this side.
28 are not on at any given time. At a minimum, you got 3 officers. And if you get a domestic, and you always need to send 2 to a domestic, you got 2 officers down. You got 1 person that's available, and if that person get a car accident, now everybody's tied down. Now the supervisor has to manage these calls, prioritize them. If you got a 911 hang-up, but then you got a burglar alarm, even though the 911 hang-up came in first, that burglar alarm, now the supervisor has to make a decision which one to go to next. Or sometimes you have calls on hold. But, those, like I said, we're working on it. We're going to have some special details, traffic enforcement, tactical units, trucking enforcement, and all of that should curb and be extra added manpower on, in addition to how many officers that we have on the street per shift. So that's one of the things that you have to factor in. If we were able to hire as people leave, we wouldn't find ourselves in this situation. Because when one body is leaving, it shouldn't be like pulling teeth or have to go before the board to replace that officer. If somebody's retiring, they're at their max scale. They've been here 20, 25 years. They're at the back end of the scale. And if you want to replace it with somebody newly coming in, that's going to save the village money right there, because you're looking at a maybe $30,000 a year decrease that the village will be saving until that person rises up. So I never really understood that, why it has to go through so many channels when somebody retire or get terminated and so forth. It should be automatic. We lose a body, we replace a body. I wouldn't say it's a budget problem with that. It's just, a power issue that's beyond police powers.
We had a question in the back.
Ma'am, you had a question? Yes, ma'am.
All I wanted to do was make a comment about the Citizens Academy. I think that's an excellent idea. Only because the last 3-4 times I've called the police, they'll come, they're so busy telling me they can't do this, they can't do that. They don't get out the car. I had my house where someone had broken the window, I guess trying to come in. So we called the police and he wouldn't even get out the car. I said, you're not gonna even look at it?
Okay,
So I think with the Citizens Academy and with them riding with the police, maybe it will be motivation for them to do that. Because who wants to be told what they can't do? Because they're busy, they're scared they're gonna get sued. The village of Dolton. Okay, if I have a situation, I would like for it to be taken care of. Not for them to sit in the car telling me 100 reasons why they can't do something.
Right, so to help me to address that and identify that person and discipline them, every officer have a name and a star number.
Yes.
That's all you need to get. If you don't get the name, get the star number. That identifies them, and you let us know the situation, and we can address that and rectify that. Okay?
Yes.
And that's for anyone. If you have an officer that, because they get paid good, so if they being lazy and don't want to do their job, get the star number and call in to the supervisor or myself or Deputy Chief Lacey. Email us, give us a call, and we'll rectify that. Okay? Yes, ma'am. You talking about for trucks? We do random trucking enforcement, but that's one of the things that we want to have a officer that's strictly, that's what they do, 5 days a week, trucking enforcement. Yeah, truckers, they're gonna try to slide through and get to where they need to drop their load to pick it up. But that's one of the things that's gonna bring in revenue. We had a trucking enforcement officer. He had some health issues, so he had to scale back. But that's one of the units that we want to have: traffic, trucking, and tactical unit that will curb all the speeding, running the stop signs, illegal turns. Trust me, once they know that we got a traffic unit out here, and they're going to either go around or they're going to abide by the law. And that's the same with the truckers, because truckers communicate. They're going to be like, hey, don't go through Dolton, through here. Make sure you use this road. Make sure you use that. So the word is going to spread, and then, hey, we want you all to be in compliance, because we're not targeting the citizens. We want to target everyone who's coming through our village. We're being right off the interstate, so we have a lot of people. We may have like 24,000 residency, but you may have 100,000 people that come through here. So that's what we want to target, those people. So we want our citizens to be informed and be in compliance. So when you come to these meetings, you can be like, y'all really doing a good job, because you all not the ones getting the ticket. I see them out there writing them tickets, getting these speeders, and now everybody's abiding. So yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, do you have anyone that can help someone who wants to start a block club? Because I don't have a block club on my block.
Right. No, we're gonna have a meeting, and it's just gonna be for the block club. Myself, Officer McNeil, and Brian Thickpen. We're gonna get together. We're gonna put together a big agenda. We're gonna pass out the flyers. We're gonna pass out the flyers, informing the whole community that this is what we're starting up. And then we're gonna have a big meeting, and everyone needs to come that want to be involved. And then you can spearhead it on your block, and then we'll go from there. But that's going to be the first step, is putting this flyer together and then passing them out to you all at the next meeting, and coming out into the community and passing them out, the flyers, to start the block clubs up. We've been trying to get it done, but something always arises. It's always ongoing, but we have to make it a priority to get this done with the block clubs, okay?
Just one more other thing, I have people that I know that live in that I'm friends with in the village, and some of them telling me that they're gonna sell their house and move. No matter where you go and move, you still have to be involved in your community.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Thank you. Just like you said earlier, you just can't go to work and lock yourself up in your house. You have to take part.
Right.
And that's why, at first I used to come to the meetings when they had it in the old police station, and then I stopped, but I said I need to get involved.
Mhm.
Especially, I've been feeling so safe here, and then when all that stuff was going on, I'm like, wow, in Chicago, people call. I'm like, man, y'all people get killed, 40 people every week.
Right. Right. And I thank you for recognizing that, because one of the things is that, like I said, every town get hit with an influx, but ours just happen to be publicized. It's stuff going on every day, like the young girl that got killed in Harvey, straight bullet. The same thing that's going on this year is going on there. One of the aldermen called me from Harvey, say, hey man, what's going on? Why are they putting y'all out there like that? Some of it's internal. Election season is coming up. Some of it's internal. So you have to recognize these things. Same thing is going on in all our bordering communities. Riverdale, they had 2 homicides in a week. Calumet City had 2 homicides.
Yeah.
Right.
So you got people that has an agenda with this election and try to make it seem like it's so terrible. So
Right.
people got to understand, because
Right.
you don't know who's talking on that neighbor act.
Right.
Saying all types of lies. So when I want to know something, I'm coming to the police.
Right. Thank you.
I'm not gonna listen to neighbor.
Right. Thank you. But yes, but like I said, the same things that's going on in Dolton are going on in Riverdale, Calumet City, Harvey, Lansing, South Holland. Yeah, South Holland. They got a good gag order. They know how to make their citizens feel protected, and I'm trying to push that gag order. Because everybody don't need to know everything. Our citizens need to be aware of it, but the whole Southland of Chicago don't need to know what's going on. So I'm trying to push that. I've been talking to the mayor, want to talk to the attorney. How can certain people you are supposed to do certain things, and putting your community out there in a bad light is not one of them. That's not one of them. So that's one of the things, but I just want you all to know that it's just not Dolton. Cal City had a carjacking where they poured a lady out the car at the Clark gas station over there on Torrance just yesterday. The same thing is going on. We're just being put in a negative light, for internal purposes and so forth. So when I get all these calls from family and concerned people that know me, and I say, hey, it is what it is. One thing that I can say and that I'm proud of, at least the media is not out here for a corrupt police department. You know what I'm saying? We have good officers. They're not coming out here for a corrupt police department. They're just coming out here because we're getting hit with an influx of high crime that's going on all around us, but they're ignoring every place around us and just focusing in on Dolton. So, yeah, just please be aware, and if it's something that you want to know and you're concerned about, you can call us and we'll give you the real information. Okay?
We having separate meetings. I'm seeing on Facebook with certain pastors and having stuff. Are you all invited to police? I think you all need to be invited instead of them talking on the side. That's another political thing. I see meetings. They should be here.
Right. Well, what you have to realize, right? What you have to realize is that it's in an internal war, and you all know what it is. If you have some people that's still a little angry and bitter of all the what has transpired with the resigning and terminating, and people have hidden agendas and so forth. So I'm about trying to serve and protect this community, and some people have even slandered me, and I've done nothing but good. But it is what it is. I don't worry about what people say. They didn't like Jesus Christ, and they talked about and look what they did to him. So I just stay prayed up and covered with the blood of Jesus, and hopefully you all pray for the police department, not just in Dolton but across the nation. And with that, I just have to keep pushing, because police, you have to have Teflon on your back, because when we go to some of these citizens, you'll be astonished as to what they say to us. We're coming to help you, and we get called every name in the book but a child of God. But you have to tune that out and keep pushing, because it takes a certain type of person to do this job and to do it correctly and effectively, and to be able to go home and release, and then get up in the morning, the afternoon, and the midnight, and come back and do it all over again for 20 plus years. It takes a certain type person to do this job. We're going to take your question, then we're going to have Trustee Holmes to close us out with prayer.
I was going to close this out.
Okay, Officer McNeil. Yes, ma'am.
I would like to know, you were saying that once an officer retired and you were trying to get new officers in, and you said that was above your pay grade, basically. Is it anything the citizens can do, call anyone?
Well, when I was saying that, I would, if you had been, I don't know if you were watching the board meetings, before the mayor had a favorable board, he was always asking for police officers, but was denied. That's not an issue right now, because we have got the approval for a police officer. So now that's why we're on a continual basis, of bringing on one officer here, 2 officers there, 3 officers there. So no, that's not an issue right now. While we are trying to secure funds for all of these officers, some of them are still in the budget, because we got approval to hire 5 that was put in the budget. Now these 15 additional that we got approval for, that's what the mayor is working on for emergency funding for them, because we got to look at the long term. We could hire them, and we probably could manage, but we're talking about to sustain it over a course of time. Okay.
So how many police officers are you trying to get? What is the ceiling on how many that you think Dolton needs?
What I think Dolton needs? I'm say 80 officers. 80 sworn officers in patrol. 80. But with these 20 that we are in the process of hiring, 5 I had got the approval for when I got appointed. Well, the mayor had asked for 5 previous to me being appointed. But when I got appointed, then I got on the ball and started getting it rolling. So I think this next gentleman that needs to take his drug screening and physical, he will be the fourth of the 5 people. So then I'm trying to bring on 16 more, 1 additional from the original 5, and then 15 that we got approved. So that will be a total of 20 officers.
20 more than the 26 or 28 that was
Correct. So yeah, that will have us. Right, and we can do some things with those. We could do some things with that, creating these special units and curbing some of this crime, and just getting everybody in compliance that and once the word spread, like, hey, don't mess around in Dolton. That's what we want. Don't mess around. Don't go speeding. Don't go blasting your music. Don't go throwing garbage out your window. You'd be surprised at what I see in my unmarked car. Because these young people, they do not pay attention. When I was younger, I just paid attention, and I've always been like that. I could be driving, I'd see the Crown Vic lights, I see the big bubble Chevy lights, and I slow my speed down, and sure enough, here comes somebody zooming, then they light them up, and then I tell whoever I'm with, I'm like, that's the police, and then when they light them up, like, how you know that? I just always been observing, but these people, I've seen people smoke marijuana right next to me, throw garbage out, and I pull them over, and they be like, oh, you scared me. I was like, you're not paying attention. I ain't scared you, so now I have to have a ticket book. I gave a ticket to someone running the railroad crossing. There was a pickup truck, 4 guys in there, and they had something that they was pulling. I pulled them over, and the gentleman had the nerve enough to have attitude. He said, well, you didn't see the 5 other cars that did it before me. I say, well, I wasn't driving then. I saw you, so you doing what they did. If they jump off a building, are you gonna jump off a building? And he got an attitude, so I said, sir, I just said, hold on, and didn't have no insurance. So how you gonna have an attitude when you don't even got insurance? Now you got 2 infractions, no insurance and running a railroad crossing. And I'm talking about he was grown. He was grown. This is a grown man. We ain't talking about no teeny bopper and young. This was a grown man with gray hair. So so you should know better. And then some of the times when certain people at a certain age do certain things and they old enough to be my parent, guess what? We're doing role reversal. You the child, now I'm the parent, and I'm gonna talk to you in a respectful way, but I'm gonna talk to you like you need to be talked to.
Can I say something? I go to a lot of different towns and stuff because of what I do on my job, and I see police stop people, and it's 2 police cars.
I'm glad you asked that. I got an answer for that.
2 police cars, and boy, that says a statement itself.
Okay.
And I was wondering, is Dolton gonna ever do that? Because I do believe that could help, and whoever's looking, we can't do this in Dolton.
So you saying you see someone pulled over and you see 2 police cars?
Yeah, in other towns, I've seen it in South Highland. I can go to Oak Forest. I can go to Tinley. There always have 2 to 3 police cars after they pull someone off.
Right.
To the side. I always look to see who they pulled off.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure it's not profile.
Right. So one of the things, that's a good question for those of you who may not know. We do it. It's just a matter of someone's doing traffic, and it's customary and kind of like protocol for another officer to come and assist. The reason why you get it, a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people think they see 1 car pulled over and 3 squad cars. They're thinking like, oh, what they doing? They ain't got nothing else better to do. But what you don't know is that vehicle that they pulled over has 4 occupants. Most of the South Suburban departments ride 1 person to a vehicle. So when you see 3 squad cars on 1 car, it's for officer safety. Because even if they got 4 people in there, we still outnumbered. You got 3 officers and 4 occupants in there. So it's officer safety. 2 of the most dangerous things in law enforcement are traffic stops and domestic calls. Traffic stops because you never know what you're running up on. And now they got these tinted windows. That's another thing that we want to try to create in our local ordinance is the tinted windows, because they got super black. You can't see nothing daytime, and then definitely not at nighttime. And most of those people that have that tint like that, they're up to no good, because you can't see anything that they're doing in the car, but they can see you when you're approaching. So that's another thing that I'm looking into, getting the tint meter readers and enforcing that on our local ordinance, because that's another thing. If they got that tint, they're gonna try to go around through Dolton. No, tint is in the IVC, the Illinois Vehicle Code, but a lot of police departments, because they're so busy, have gotten away from writing a ticket from tint. But because the judges, they really don't enforce it. Some things have become minute, just like marijuana. They don't really prosecute for that. When you get the small cases of so many grams or whatever, don't even bother about you just better off writing a local ticket or telling them to discard it and moving them on, because it's not going to go anywhere. I'm sorry?
In January, when it becomes legal?
Yes.
It's going to be legal out here?
It's going to be legal. As a matter of fact, well, it's going to be, we got a special board meeting Monday, ma'am, and that's what it's in regards to. Monday at 6 p.m., a special board meeting, and that's what that meeting is about, the legalization of marijuana. But that's another thing. So to answer your question, we do, it's a protocol that when an officer goes down on a traffic stop, if there is an available unit, they'll start heading that way. So you get it. It's for officer safety, because you never know. You can have somebody with pistol, and that's how you get drugs and weapons off the street, because they be in these cars. And so a lot of times we'll do a traffic stop and the car pull off while the officer is getting out or going back, because they don't want their vehicle to be searching. And you either suspended, got no insurance, got drugs, weapons, one of those things. But we do practice that. So if you haven't seen it, it's probably because the other officers were down on something else. But we do practice that. But that's one of the things when we get that traffic unit, that'll curb a lot of that stuff, okay? All right.
All right, so this is just the part where, you ask what your country do for you, right? Don't ask what your country can do for you. What can you do for your country? So we're asking what you can do for Dolton. Just some tips, some things to remain safe, things like locking your car doors before you go in for the night. Even when you're stopping at the stores, you're at the gas station, you're walking to pay for your gas, roll your windows up. Maybe you don't need to lock your doors. I will lock mine if I have to go inside. Okay, but things like that, so you don't come out and your purse is gone and other property is gone. Other things of security alarm systems. Security alarm systems are the #1 deterrent for a burglar, bar none, period. The second deterrent for a burglar is a dog. A big dog, okay? All right. So you have them in conjunction. They are really good deterrents for burglars. I'll tell people like this: if the burglar see two cars, one has a car alarm and one doesn't, which one you think he gonna go after? The one that doesn't. Even though you feel like, well, my car alarm isn't all that extravagant or whatever, the burglar, he wants something that's easy he can get away with. So it's all about opportunity, okay? So you want to cut down the opportunities, keeping our doors locked, your burglar alarms. Most times when burglars happen, the #1 issue is they have a burglar alarm, they did not activate it. Activate your burglar alarm before you. I know you're just going down to Walgreens right quick and you'll be back in 5 minutes. I know the burglar know that too. It only gonna take him 5 minutes to do what he got to do. All right. So activate your burglar alarm before you leave your house. Even if you're just running to pick up the babies and come right back. Activate your burglar alarms. Okay. The second part is we did mention the Untitled bulbs. They also call one of the residents reminded me. It's called a Dusk-to-Dawn Bulb. Okay. Dusk-to-Dawn Bulb as well. So it's another deterrent at night. This light will be on. It's an LED light. It's very bright. Okay, so turn that light on. one of our residents was complaining about our catalytic converter being taken from her car. I know everybody doesn't have a garage, but I encourage everyone, park your car in your garages or park them in your driveways, okay? Typically in your driveways, you have a light that is discouraging for someone to come try to break in your car. I remember we had a ramp of car burglaries about, I would say about 8 months ago, and it was literally 15 young men, 3, 4 in the morning, walking up and down the street, and all they were doing was, they weren't busting any windows or damaging any cars. Cars were open. The cars were open. And we had, it was on, I believe, Woodlawn. It was in what we call our northeast zone. I mean, literally every morning we would come to work and all these cars were robbed. So, but they weren't busting any doors, so that's a little responsibility on you. You gotta, lock your door, because no one that had their cars locked had a complaint. It's just the truth. So, just something else, some other things to keep us safe, okay? Again, if you see something, say something. We have the Dolton app. I know one of our residents, you share on the neighbor, the Nextdoor app and the Ring app. While there is some false information on there, there is also some good information, right? There's some things on there where you can be aware of what's going on in the community. And also, please don't forget the Dolton app. Please share us what you got so we can vet it, and then we can also put that out as accurate as possible. I'll be one of the personnel that'll be more responsible for the Dolton for the Dolton app, making sure you're getting proper information. Also, I have no problem with somebody filming me on a traffic stop. I really don't. All you're gonna do is get some tickets. I mean, that's just what it is. We need to film when crime is happening. Take pictures, film it, and then you can upload it to the Dolton app. So it's not just a narrative where we don't have enough of what does this guy look like? What color is the car he's driving? What direction is it going? You actually have the incident that we can watch, and we use it for investigations. Our detectives love photos and videos because you can't knock them, you can't beat them. You can say whatever, it wasn't me. Really, let me zoom in. Let me see. No, don't go nowhere. Let me show you this. Is this the same pimple that's on your face that 2 weeks ago? That same pimple there, that ain't went away. So we need those things are very, very, very helpful to us. So please, you see something, and I know sometimes we feel uncomfortable. Well, you ain't got to say nothing when you're filming something. You could be walking. Nobody knows you filming stuff. On Facebook, you have to open your, on iPhone, you have to open your phone with your face. Nobody knows whether I'm recording or I'm just opening my phone up. So please, film these things. If you feel uncomfortable calling, you can just upload it, okay? Does that make any sense?
I called anonymous with shots fired one time. They put the spotlight on my house.
We'll make sure our is passed down in our shifts that if someone calls anonymous, that our dispatchers let them know that it's anonymous. Unfortunately, so I can't go back in the time and tell you exactly why. I'll tell you what probably happened, because it's happened a million times. They'll give your address where the incident happened instead of your address where you're complaining from. So I'm coming to your house thinking you the bad guy, okay? So it's really all about information, how the information is disseminated, okay? So, and I understand miscommunications happen, because we're not hearing it directly from you. We're hearing it from a third party, all right? So I know it's very difficult when you call to be calm, give accurate information, because sometimes you're frustrated or angry about whatever's going on. But the more accurate the information, the quicker we get it, the quicker we can respond correctly. Again, go ahead, sir.
Well, thank you for your response. Now, that's just a one-time incident out of 13 years I've been out here.
I appreciate that.
My response times have been, man, I got robbed in my backyard in 2012. I think before the guy got to the end of the block, the police was around there. They didn't catch him, but I was just happy that they got there so fast.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you. We have any questions about any information I just gave out?
I got a dog. He's 500 pounds. Must I put beware of dog in my window?
Beware of dog, just like us. Someone asked about the we call 911, neighborhood watch. These signs are deterrents. However, right, you have some folk that will go above and beyond, particularly if they're a neighbor and they saw your dog. Most burglaries happen. Most burglaries are are done by neighbors, people that know your schedule. They know how many people in the house. They know what your car look like. All that. They also know you got a little Shih Tzu. They know you got a little Shih Tzu, and it's real friendly and nice. You know, it bark a lot, but you know, it's just gonna smell you to death. That's all it's gonna do. So that beware of dog could be helpful, but if you don't want a bigger dog, some of us don't want to shovel huge piles of boo-boo. I understand. So that security alarm on your house is helpful. That security door on your front and back door, right? Those first floor windows. You need to get some hard, that block glass. Okay, take those out. They just kick those in, all right? Most of the houses that we go to that are getting burglarized are for one or two reasons. They didn't turn an alarm on, or there are places in their home that are very easily accessible. The basement windows are windows I could just kick in instead of the block windows, right? They don't have a security door. I'm not talking about the weak screen door. I'm talking about a real security door. I've seen one time somebody penetrate the security door. You know what? By the time they penetrated, they gave up. They had a crowbar. They must have been working it for hours. And they gave up. They never got in. They got security door off finally. I don't even think they knew. Like, oh, the security door. They didn't even know because they was worked to death, okay? All right, those security doors work. And that's one time in 18 years I've actually seen somebody try to, so it must have been something they knew was in the house. You know, in any event. Any other questions, ma'am? Okay, Trustee Holmes.
I guess I'll do the prayer. Everybody can stand up. Father, we thank you for those who have came out in this weather. And thank you for those who couldn't make it. We also pray for those who try to turn Dolton around the other way, but we let them know that, Lord, with you guiding us, we go moving forward. We thank you for our police chief and our deputy chief. We thank you for all of who've been involved in the uplift and the upkeep of Dolton. In Jesus' name, amen.